beast stalker, giant stalker, dragon stalker, crypt stalker, demon stalker, rift stalker, grom stalker, crypt stalker, scourge stalker, wind runner. I'm a pony, elite skill hunter, a death dealer, a life stealer. That's just the cost of being awesome.
Welcome to episode 266 of the Hunting Party podcast. I'm Darkbrew from thebrewhall.com and the Brew Hall on Twitter.
I'm Delirium from thrillofthewild.com and at Delirium Hunts on Twitter.
I'm Bendak from eyesofthebeast.com and Bendak Wow on Twitter.
And I'm Foxy from the WHU Discord and Facebook group and at Miss Mo Logan in the Twitter Apocalypse.
All right, well, today is Sunday, January 28th, 2018, and we are broadcasting live on twitch.tv, and you can participate in the live chat room where our lovely moderator, Ali Sonder, is there to take your questions. And we're back again, and we have a full house of hosts today, which is just awesome and a lot of stuff to cover. But I have to say, I was surprised when I looked back at I was checking to see when we last did an episode to see that we did 265 back in November. And I thought we had maybe done something more recent than that. And this is probably the longest gap between episodes that we've had since, we ended the show after episode 200 and then started it up again a few months later. So hopefully we'll be able to get back on a more regular schedule than what we have. But the good news is there's more stuff to talk about than we've had in a while too. So that's great. So welcome and belated Happy New Year to everyone in the chat room and to all of you, Bendak, Delirium, Foxy, Ali Sonder, and Synth as well. And, welcome back.
Yay.
It's good to be back.
It's good to be back.
Yeah, it really is. So I don't know where we want to start. There's a lot of data mined information that came out for the Battle of Azeroth. We were talking a little bit about that before. And, of course, we had Antorus, the Burning Throne, which is well, I don't know it's new anymore, but it is the current raid, which we were saying released on November 28th, which was the day after we did our last show. So I guess at this point, I imagine you guys have gone through that thing like a wrecking ball. So maybe we can talk about that a little bit first, just some impressions, things we like, don't like about it, and especially for hunters. And then we'll see where we can go, maybe talk a little bit about the Battle for Azeroth stuff, which I imagine beta, hopefully, and alpha shouldn't be too far around the corner at this point.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if early next week, like the streamers get on there.
Right. And because that would, I guess obviously in order to get the data mined information, they've had to release some of the game files out there on a server somewhere for people to get at, which means they're probably closer to at least opening it up to friends and family for alpha. So let's talk about, Antorus, the Burning Throne, and let me just go around the room. Foxy, what are your thoughts on that? A good raid, bad raid, good for hunters?
Well, I will say that this particular raid, I've done the least amount of preparation that I've ever done for any raid, for the simple fact that I feel like a lot of the encounters are just, I'm going to say it, some of them are just too easy. The only fun in the raid for me is mythic progression, but for the most part, a lot of people can do the jobs that hunters normally do now, and that's what makes it kind of boring. It's not boring in a sense that there's a lack of mechanics, because there are, but as far as hunter play and all of the loops that we have to go through to just make our gear fit, it's kind of it makes me just want to wait till the next raid.
Yeah, I completely agree. I haven't been this bored in a raid for a long time. It, for me, ranks as one of the lowest raids that I've participated in, which it doesn't, I can't think of a specific problem with it other than, I don't know, hunter play is not very exciting right now, or there's just not that much going on. The bosses, there's a couple of interesting mechanics, but for the most part, it's just, the Taco Bell. They've taken a tortilla and put it into a different shape and called it something else, but it's still just doing the same things over and over and over.
You're calling this
I
the
agree with
$1
that.
stacker of
Oh
raids?
my god.
That's it. Yeah.
As for me, I don't know. I think the raid's all right. It's not like one of my favorites, but yeah, the whole gearing thing is the most annoying thing right now about this tier. Having to use old set bonuses and just having to do all the simming and stuff. It's just I don't know.
I feel like we shouldn't have to do this much to try to even compete baseline with the other classes DPS. Like, we shouldn't have to go through all these loops to make our characters playable with current gear. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I mean, that's the whole point of wanting to go to the raid. New gear, bigger damage, but it just doesn't feel like that.
Yeah, like I'm personally right now, one of my best gear setup still uses tier 19.
Yeah,
It's just
DM.
I don't. Yeah,
Do
I
you
don't know.
still regularly run 219 gear to get crazy Titan forges or anything, or do you have about as high as you can get?
Hell no, I'm not running that anymore. I'm just yeah, it's just like I just have 905 and 910 piece of tier 19, and it's still in my best. I'm running 2-piece tier 19 and 2-piece tier 21. No other tier.
Yeah, I was reading in your article, somebody had made one of your articles that somebody made a suggestion of like using 2-set bonuses from the last 3 tiers. I said that is absolutely absurd.
It's absurd, but some people do it because it's their best setup.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, and that just seems overly complex compared to what we've done, which I guess explains a little bit about why they're just going to get rid of the set bonuses entirely moving forward. But we're just sort of stuck with this for now. Really, I guess until the end, until Battle for Azeroth drops, this is just going to be the way it is.
Yeah, and as for hunters, I mean, I think we're like doing all right in this raid. Like Beast Mastery, it's like if you look at like Warcraft logs, or like at the bottom for everything. But if you perform well as Beast Master, you can do all right. It's just that if you perform average, you might not do that well. You like have to be really good at it.
Yeah, I think I was thinking with the article you wrote recently, I don't know how recently, Bendak, about the lack of identity for BM. It's also, I haven't gone BM in a single raid this tier, or this expansion, but I do keep it leveled just in case. And there's just no reason to want to switch to it. Like there's nothing, previous expansions, I might switch to SV for a multi-dotting kind of experience on certain bosses, or I want to switch around BM for some heavy cleave, or I don't know. And now there's just none of the specs have really an identity, so there's no reason to think about what you're going to play. Just whatever does the most damage, and then you're stuck with a couple of cookie cutter builds.
Well, Delirium, are you still playing Survival much at all, or are you just?
I haven't played Survival for a single fight this tier. So,
Wow.
although there are a couple bosses that it's decent in, but it's just, I don't know. I find this raid so boring that I haven't
Really,
bothered learning them on
Mr.
SV.
Survival King.
Don't tell anybody.
Wow, I'm very surprised to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like the BM guy, but I've recently been playing more marksmanship just for something different. But like on AoE fights and stuff like that, just because the AoE is so much better, and some Mythic Plus as well. Just because I finally managed to get my weapon somewhat on par with my Beast Mastery one.
Yeah, is everybody above 75 on all their weapons now?
Not for survival.
2 out of 3. I can't. I am not going to put any AP into that survival weapon. You guys know my stance on that.
For survival.
I just got concordance with survival. I actually did the challenge with it. It's actually pretty fun.
Oh, the Mage Tower?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sitting at 75, 76, and 79. I'm almost to 80 on my MM, but I've been pretty lazy with it AP recently. So
And what are the AP numbers getting up to now? I mean, it's
I think 80 is 800 billion, million, whatever sounds
I
appropriate.
was like
800 something.
zillion.
Yeah, my next trade costs 1.3 trillion.
No thanks.
It's not even like a number anymore. It's just like this thing that will eventually happen in like 4 weeks or something.
I guess at that point you don't even think about it. You don't even pay attention to it. You
Yeah.
just do what you would normally do, and then, as you say, it'll just happen one day. You'd be like, oh wow, that's cool.
It also doesn't feel like a performance upgrade. Like it doesn't feel like a buff. I never notice it, so it doesn't really affect. Like I'm not excited to get to a new level at this point. There's just what's going to happen. Maybe a slight a decimal change somewhere, but meh.
Does anybody have a favorite fight in the new raid?
I was trying to think of that. That's
I don't know. I really like the Argus fight. Like I know people say it's like too easy for last boss, and I would agree that the two bosses before it are probably harder on heroic, but as a fight, I think it's pretty cool.
I am so bad at remembering to use a third pot. I don't know why it's so hard to remember, but so that
Yeah,
makes me hate Argus.
it's okay. I'm guilty because yeah, I've only ever used 2 on the fight until like this week.
And it'll always be like the end of the ad phase, and I'll remember. I'm like, oh yeah, and then there's no point in hitting the pot anyway.
So
Meh.
one fight I surprisingly love more than everything, and I say surprisingly because I hated it first, is Coven with the introduction of using Sidewinders because we haven't used it in such a long time, but using that just I don't know, it felt different to me when I started using it as MM on the Coven fight. And I saw that change because I was looking at a couple of logs from different hunters. And I'm like, what? They're using Sidewinders? So I started doing some research and I started playing with it also in that fight, and it just makes it so much better.
Yeah, you can hit a lot of stuff with it.
There,
Plus, it's nice because there's sometimes you have to stand in really bad places, but with MM, you're always in range anyway.
Yeah, and that the structure of that room is all basically square, so it's not like there's any. Well, you could run into some LOS issues if you're um, like assigned to trap something when the soldiers come out. But if you stand in the right place, it's perfect. I love it.
I also kind of like Agrimar, like on heroic, because I don't know, it's kind of neat to be able to like have your trap be used like as an integral part of the fight, and plus it procs Cephas.
has everybody gotten the best neck available in the game from Vera Mathras?
Nope.
It's really good. Everybody should get it and equip it, no matter what eye level it is.
The choker? Oh, because it's your name, dude. Yes, I'm wearing mine. I have
Okay, good
one.
job.
I was like, oh my god, I just realized what that said.
There's also a couple of priests of Delirium in the trash that you can see there. I highly recommend nobody kill them. Just go around. Come on, be nice.
It is a pretty awesome neck, dude.
You should go and take a selfie with the priests of Delirium.
Exactly. That would be funny. And you should say that they're named after you too, by the way. You should just plant a flag in that, and where you see the word Delirium, just say, yep, that's me. It's named after me. That's all because of me.
Or one of the other, 300 characters named Delirium.
Yeah. So does like your raid take great pleasure in killing those things while you're around, or?
No, at this point, everybody just wants to get through it as fast as possible. So. Yeah, I can't think of any other fights that stand out. They're all kind of.
Yeah, it's like the last three are it.
I kind of like Kingaroth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like just. I guess I like because it's pretty nice fight for Beast Mastery just because of how the ads take more damage and you can always have your Beast of Wrath for them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, what is the name of that trinket that basically shoots a homing device at your multiple targets? This drops off the first
Yeah,
bomb, the prototype.
yeah.
That trinket is really good, unlike Portal Keeper and Antorus High Command. It's so good.
Hey, is that the one that drops mines every couple of seconds and like those auto explode, or you can explode them all at once?
No, that's the other one.
Oh,
Yeah, that's from Kingroth.
Yeah.
You're talking about the prototype personal decimator.
I also got the so I was I've been dropping all of my veiled shards into the vendor, and I got what's the one that gives you a mini invasion ship behind you?
The Terminus signaling
That's
beacon.
it. That's it. That is so awesome. However, I tested it with my friends. I don't think anyone else can see that ship, right? Is that true?
No, I don't think so. At least in the raid they can't. Maybe they can in dungeon.
Because well, yeah, I was
Oh
with my
man.
mythic group, and it is very frustrating because I was so excited to have this little little Centenax behind me, and and no one else could see it. It was very disappointing.
No, that's actually a really good trinket for AoE fights in Mythic Plus.
Oh, absolutely. It has been yeah, if you're running Mythic Pluses, that thing puts out it's on a 1 minute 30 cooldown, I think. Um and it's active for I think 15 seconds or something around there.
It shoots 6 volleys.
Yeah, and each volley does like or I've had it do about 12 to 15% of my DPS on a particular pull. And that's pretty insane coming out of a trinket.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm. So
Anything above like 6 or 7% makes a trinket useful, and that's absurd.
yeah.
I haven't seen it yet, so
Yeah, and the fact that you can buff it with Beast of Wrath,
Oh, you can?
or even Marksmanship, it could be buffed by the True Shot crit damage too.
Oh wow. I'll have to look into that. Time it a little bit better. So anyone get the what the end game trinkets, the stat sticks?
The legendary one? No, no one in my guild's got the legendary.
Yeah, I haven't gotten a legendary yet. I mean, I've got the regular hunter one, but meh.
that has like the drop chance of like any of the rare mounts that people farm every week. Like that thing is elusive.
Yeah, it's like 0.1% or even less. It's kind of just assume you're not going to get it, and you won't be disappointed.
Yeah, I feel like if I ever get that, I can just stop playing until the next expansion comes out because I beat the game.
Although for at least for Beast Mastery, if you get the other one up to 1,000, it's really close to the legendary.
Yeah, it's really still very competitive.
And another thing too, they recently last week I think it was, they buffed the Pantheon proc for hunters. They didn't put it in hotfixes anywhere, but they did buff it. They doubled the damage of it. So it's a little more meaningful now. Like I used to do hardly anything, but now it does a solid like 3% of your damage or so.
Wow, where'd you find that? I didn't know that.
I just saw it on the tooltip one day. I'm like, huh. I just noticed it was doubled. It's not the tornado, it's the secondary Pantheon thing.
Oh, okay. And that's normally when like me and the other hunter, when that proc comes out, I notice that we jump a couple spaces on the DPS chart a lot faster than everybody else. So from yesterday, so that makes sense.
Yeah. And like for Beastmaster too, it's worth like this is just like a little Argus thing, but when you're killing the ads, like obviously start on the physical vulnerable one. But Beastmaster he, like has quite a bit of nature damage now, so definitely go on the nature damage one first, second. Because you got like Jaws of Thunder, the 2 trinket procs, Titan's Thunder. I was just getting a lot of extra nature damage on those things.
That's really good advice because I know that some people are still progressing through the raid mythic wise, and these little tidbits of information, it's going to be helpful for somebody. Did you write that up in an article yet?
Oh yeah, I mentioned that in the boss tips section of the Wowhead guide.
Okay, awesome.
That's pretty good. Are there any bosses that are particularly BM friendlier or MM friendlier or anything like that? Because I know you did mention that you went MM for a while here just for a change of pace, but or SV friendly.
Well, I mean, like High Command is really nice for MM and ENR.
Oh man, ENR. I feel like I can clean the house and watch Netflix and do that fight at the same time.
Yeah, pretty much, but you can do a lot of damage if you're MM. It's not like BM where you can't even do anything to the bats when they're flying.
Yeah, I can imagine that's pretty awful. So I'd like to hear Delirium's point of view from being like our resident survivalist, now playing other specs in this raid. Like I don't. I need you to help me understand, Delirium, how you're feeling right now.
I don't know. It's just yeah. So particularly both the raids that I've run with this tier are melee heavy. I think every raid team across the world is melee heavy right now. So it just makes it hard to, I don't know. And mages are kind of horrible. I guess warlocks are incredibly overpowered, but they're really the only ranged. Oh, balanced druids maybe. Are Ellie shamans good? I don't know. Anyways, there's not too much range that's good right now, so I don't know. I've just been playing MM kind of by default.
Is that weapon at 75 also, or
My SV weapon?
no? Your MM weapon.
Oh, it's at like 79. I'm almost to 80 with it.
Jesus, got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
So what's your kit look like right now, Delirium? Is it Ola's feather shoes and
For
MM?
for MM?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much on single target. It's the same as it has been for a while. The shoes and the what's it called?
The
Soul
ring.
the Huntmaster. Yeah,
Yeah.
is the ring that gives you an extra 2 instant aim shots, whatever that talent's called. And then for AoE, the War Belt, also with the snowshoes. Though a lot of people are doing really good things with Prydaz, and I think if you need it, even slightly need it, or it would just, 1 out of 20 pulls might help you not die, then it's worth it to use Prydaz because the stats on it are so great. And shoot, I can't even think of the name of it. There's another ring that gives you, it lets you shoot 2 marked shots off in a row. Zevrams? Is it Zevrams?
Yep.
Something like that. That is actually okay with the 4-piece. I think there's maybe one fight where I've seen people wearing it. I haven't really played with it too much, but if you can cheese damage, then it's pretty good.
I will say though, I've seen more creativity coming out of the way we wear our gear in this raid than any other raid I've ever seen. The gearing choices are so um, there's so much we can interchange with the gear to try to make, to push out the max amount of damage that I've been looking at logs and I'm like, oh my god, there's, you could usually wear the same set or the same thing for more than a couple fights in any raid, but at this one, it's everybody's really testing the limits of different pieces of gear, which is probably a good thing. You don't have any wasted gear in your bags, but then again, it could be really cumbersome.
And are you
Yeah,
finding that it makes a big difference though, or is like how wide a spread are you finding in terms of what you can do with the various gear sets, or is it all pretty close?
I mean, it's all relative to item level. If it's Titan Forge, if you have extra crit or extra mastery, but that's what they have to do. They have to make those choices based on like sometimes it may be just purely item level, but for a lot of the stuff that a lot of the gear that we have to wear, most people are going based towards stats and how it works with the set bonuses that we have to wear.
So,
yeah. I will say,
oh, go ahead.
before this year, I haven't used gear sets as much as I do now. Like for BM, like I frequently switch between two gear sets, and MM I have three gear sets.
So, here's a quick question for you guys. With the amount of movement and just area damage and things you have to soak and stuff like that, do you find yourself moving into survivability gear a little bit more, or like is avoidance something that you put into your gears or like look for, um, and actually especially with BM too, it has insignia of the Grand Army ever made it into any of your gear sets?
The ring hasn't. No, it's pretty close, but as for survivability stuff, yeah, avoidance is really nice. Like I definitely notice when I don't have it. So I like to, at least for Mythic Plus, I like to have that maybe around 15% or so if I can. I have two traits that give it, so that helps.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, how'd you get to 15%? Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with Cardinal. As a hunter in Mythic progression, you have to wear Pride as because we're so squishy, and I mean, it helps the healers, and you don't come to 2% within your death every 10 seconds. It's like Coven, for example. Before they nerfed the amount of damage, I can't remember the name of the ability where the floor basically turns black and you have to go to these little void circles to not die. Like the minute that ticked on you, you were gone.
Yeah, hunters are really squishy. Like I'm not sure why. Like we're definitely like I think we're like the squishiest class right now, DPS class. Because there's no like we have turtle, but that's for like for soaking. We don't have. Well, I guess marksmanship has disengaged damage reduction. The BM doesn't even have that.
Which is also not ideal for marksman because all that moving, and then we have exhilaration with the 2 minute cooldown. Or I mean, that part's a little frustrating, and it kind of gives us that extra DPS loss on top of everything else. So
Wait. Are you saying that I'm not supposed to be wearing the legendary that gives me health when I feign death?
oh my god.
I'm kidding. But yeah, the Pride as seems to be the go-to for tankier, or when you need to be a little bit tankier during the fight, right?
Or just
Or
when
just
your main
alive.
wants to only use 2 or 1 healers.
I mean, it's good DPS too. Like it's I use it as my one of my main legendaries.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
by no means a bad legendary, but I mean it's almost mandatory in some of those fights.
yeah. For MM, it's kind of in a weird place because what's considered basically the top legendary, the boots, sometimes don't give you any benefit at all. Like if you get off an additional rapid fire, quick true shot, what's it called? Whatever used to be
True
rapid
shot.
fire, then it's a huge DPS bonus. But if the fight ends at a weird place and you didn't get to use an extra one, then you got absolutely no bonus at all. So I think there will be a lot of times that we're not really seeing yet that some of the top hunters are experimenting with now that we're in more farm mode. I think we'll see more people playing with even more creative builds than we've had before. So yeah, Pride As is great.
It's funny you should mention rapid fire because it looks like that's coming back for MM.
Hey, speaking of things coming back, I heard there was some data mining done recently.
There was some data mining done recently for the battle for Azeroth, which is good, right? Which means, as we said, we think the alpha beta should start firing up here soon, which so I'm guessing maybe a summertime release, similar release to what we had for Legion. Then we could see this, in a few months from now, maybe 6-7 months from now.
Yeah, Legion released, what was it, August 30th, if I remember correctly? Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So if they want to make it 2 years to the dot, that'd be August. I wonder if they're going to come a little bit earlier, come out with BFA a little bit earlier. So BFA is the agreed on abbreviation, though, right? Like
I think so. I think BFA is.
I think we're all calling it BFAZ.
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 Just BFAZ. BFAZ.
Is that it sounds like some like you remember H1N1 or H1Z1 or Hizzy? I think somebody called it Hizzy.
They called it Hizzy. I didn't know that.
That's what it sounds like to me. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
Do
you want to just cover the big changes we saw?
Yeah, we can talk about it. It's this is the look back is fun and all, but looking forward is always the exciting stuff, right?
Always as well. It's always more exciting until it actually arrives, right? And then you're like,
Then we just complain about it, how good things used to be.
Then we get to where we are today, right? And then we start looking back and all the stuff we're complaining about. Boy, how much better was it when we,
Man, I sure miss having a pure melee survival.
Although I can't imagine any of us having to complain about having 3 and 4 gear sets for one raid as being a good thing. But in looking at some of the stuff, I mean, one of the things they did do a developer water cooler, and they kind of gave a Battle for Azeroth class design overview. Yeah, maybe we could just talk about some of the highlights, or at least what they're trying to do, and then maybe look at what we've seen so far with marksmanship. I think what marksmanship and survival are the two specs that where we've actually seen some changes now. Nothing yet for beast mastery. But obviously that'll come, and all of this will change, right? Everything's going to change over the course of these next few months. This is all preliminary. But when they were talking about the classes, they said they wanted the classes to feel more unique, and they were going to do this by focusing on class utilities. Was one way where they were going to try and differentiate what the classes, which made them unique, right? So they want to focus on class specializations to make sure that they feel unique as well. And then they had also talked about wanting to make sure that the content is designed around what each class can do. So you feel like, you're bringing something to the table. But I don't know if we've seen anything with marksmanship or survival in terms of utilities. I mean, the one thing I remember with hunters, what was it? The aspect of the fox was like our big utility ability, and then it disappeared as quickly as it came.
I thought it was aspect of the monkey with that extra dodge. Go and melee the boss.
Right. Well, Fox was what the raid wide
movement. Cast while moving.
Yeah, cast while moving, which was actually pretty cool.
Oh, I
also
forgot
known
about
as
that.
Mount while falling.
Yeah, it's because it was only in the game for like 2 minutes, but that's why we've all forgotten about it to some degree. But I wonder if they'll do something like that again, bring something like that back for hunters now, or what they'll give us.
Well, they're giving each class a raid buff, right?
Yeah.
So that's That's their way of you bringing every class to a raid.
Right. And
Yeah.
Hunters is a slight speed buff, right?
Yeah, it's aspect of the pack. It's passive now. Just 15% run speed for everyone.
Which sucks that it's passive, because I don't always want to share. Only if people are nice to me do they get aspect of the pack.
Pretty sure I'm the most selfish person when it comes to that aspect of the pack when it was out. I would never use it because people would complain so much. I was like, so you know what? You'll never get it.
Unless we're in the middle of a poll and I'm not doing good numbers.
So is this raid wide? So there's no like 100 or like 30-yard range or anything anymore?
Yeah, it's 40 yards.
Oh, it is? Okay, so no, that's good because that means that if somebody complains about it, you just disengage and then run the opposite direction, and they don't get it anymore.
Well, yeah, there's nothing to complain about anymore, though. No stun.
Mm.
And it does look like we've still got, at least as MM, they haven't changed the mastery yet, so we should still have long range that we can get away from people if we want to.
Yeah. So on the floor at BlizzCon, we had True Shot Aura as our buff. So is that gone then, or is that still is that just a passive buff to ourselves?
From what I read, it was gone. I mean, Bendak could probably confirm better than me, but I think it's going to be gone.
Boo. I mean, that's all right. So.
Well, what are some of the changes then that we're seeing for marksmanship so far? What stands out to
Oh,
everyone?
it's basically a completely new spec again. I mean, all of the mechanics have been the whole mark shot, everything about how Hunter's Mark works is new. Yeah, I don't know. We're losing the extra 30 focus as marksman. New AOE mechanics, new main like rotational mechanics. I don't know. Yeah, like it's completely new.
Yeah, like the vulnerable mechanic is gone, and the RNG of marking targets is also gone. I like both of those changes.
I was trying all week to get together some kind of spreadsheet that would sort of make a little simulation based on what we have data mined so far, and I could not do it. So it's missing something. I'm not sure if it's just me or just specs incomplete. It's really early, so hopefully we'll know more eventually. But I don't really have much idea of exactly how the rotation's going to look. Some of it, like the addition of so quick shot and aimed shot are. It seems like this is what they used to do with casters a lot, but you would have one, or even healers a lot of the times have this. You have one kind of high-powered, high-cost shot and one low-powered, low-cost shot. But I don't know how it's actually going to play with each other or where I guess it depends on where the damage will end up.
Yeah, it looks like it's kind of like you build up to like your short window of burst damage, and then you have another down period, and then you just repeat that. Like aim shot now, it has a cooldown of 12 seconds, but it has 2 charges. And then like you said, there's quick shot, which is it replaces arcane shot, but it doesn't generate focus now.
Yeah, so it's like the old arcane shot.
Yeah, and then they brought back steady shot for focus regeneration. You can cast that while moving, but you can't cast aim shot while moving. And there's rapid fire, which is like a channeled ability that also generates focus. Multi-shot's still there, but it's pretty much just exists to activate bombardment, which is bombardment sort of like the trick shot talent we have now, where aim shot ricochets to other targets. And then Hunter's Mark is like a mini cooldown. It's only 40 seconds, but you throw it on the target, and then the first aim shot on that target gives you a 5-second buff. It causes all of your shots to do extra damage.
And it seems like it's potentially to crit.
Yeah, it also said something about 100% crit chance. And that seems weird. Like, I guess, I don't know, maybe not though, because once you use aim shot, it starts expiring, right?
Yeah. So, and you can only use 2 aim shots back to back anyway. So
yeah, and I don't think anyone's going to sit there and keep the crit buff active by not casting aim shot. I mean, you could, but aim shot hits for like 7 or 8 times the other shots, so.
Yeah, I can definitely see it being about equivalent to like Bestial Wrath's DPS boost. I feel like that's what they're going for, just like a short burst of high damage.
But also the damage bonus each attack gives, it's like a flat amount, it looks like, per attack. So that means if you fit rapid fire in there, you get a huge benefit from that, because rapid fire shoots 10 projectiles.
Oh, okay. So if each projectile gets the flat bonus, yeah. Maybe that's the intended combo. But one of the most important things we missed out is, I guess, Marksman is losing their pet permanently. Is that true?
Well, possibly. That's what it looks like from the data mining. But I feel like there was also talk of I can't remember what, it was one of the Q&As a while back where they talked about it working where just if you had your pet out, you would lose whatever the buff is that marksman hunters get. So
Did someone from Blizzard actually say that at some point? Because I don't remember that.
I think it was at BlizzCon last year, and it was just in response to somebody saying something like, you know, hey, this would make more sense if we could just do this. I think it will be problematic the way they're doing the hunter pet buffs for brezing. If you can just take out a pet and brez, then that's a little too powerful for a DPS class.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, but I mean, the way it is in the data mining is Lone Wolf, it's a level 1 passive. So as soon as you're in marksmanship, you can't even summon pets. But I would hope that they'd make it so you can summon them and just lose the damage, so you could use it while soloing and stuff like that. As for the pet abilities, I mean, they could just make it not work with marksmanship.
Yeah, I don't think that pruning would go over well with the hunter community at all.
No, but they'd have to do something to prevent marksmanship hunters from having to summon their pets in the middle of combat, cast the buff, and then dismiss them. It's just a bad mechanic.
Well, and just the because brezes are so big, and BM and SV hunters won't really get to do that because they would have to, or it would at least be a lot more time consuming if you'd have to dismiss your pet and then pull out a tenacity pet and then dismiss that pet and pull out your regular pet again.
Yeah, we should probably talk about that, the pet thing.
Oh, right. That's the big thing we know about, or kind of the only thing we know about BM, right?
Yeah. Well, first of all, looks like all the pet families will have an ability now. Finally, but they're just copies of existing ones. Like a bunch more families will get like a shell shield, and then some will get a snare and stuff like that. Also, some pets get a dispel. Like Spirit Beast gets something called Spirit Shock, which dispels a magic or enrage effect.
That's an
I think that's super cool.
Dispel?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's cool.
That's cool.
So, yeah.
You also get Tranquilizing Shot, too, so you could have 2 dispels.
Yeah, so Trank Shot, is that going to be coming back in, like, the second incarnation where it dispels magic and enrage effects, or the old one where it's just enrage?
It's the new one.
Okay.
At least that's the tooltip that's available right now. It might just be a copy paste from, and they just haven't updated it yet.
So for pet specializations, all ferocity pets get a spell called Primal Rage, which is Bloodlust. So you don't have to use a core hound or
the pet version.
What?
It's the lower pet version, right? Or is it the full? Do they get full Bloodlust?
It's a full Bloodlust.
Wait, the core hounds don't give full Bloodlust? I thought the core hounds did.
No, they do, but you can't. It doesn't reset. It has a minor nerf to it from the other stuff.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, like drums, for example, they only give you a certain amount of haste. It's lower than like a regular list. I think, is that what you were referring to?
Yeah, I thought you meant like it was the drums level or lower than the full haste amount. That's a misunderstanding. Sorry. Keep going.
Yeah, so Ferocity gets Bloodlust, so you can have Bloodlust with any pet now. And then they also get a thing called Predator's Thirst, which is 3% leech for the pet and the hunter. Tenacity pets get Circle of Life, which is battle res. and endurance training, which is 10% health for hunter and pet. And cunning gets master's call, and pathfinding, which is movement speed. So master's call is back, but you have to use a cunning pet.
So with that though, I also see DPS loss depending on what spec you choose. Is
Oh
that
yeah, this
the case?
is a big
Oh
problem, like
man.
especially for tenacity, because if you want battle res, a beast mastery hunter is not going to want to use the tenacity pet.
Oh god, no! Like that's 50% of our damage.
So, do we get Apex Predator's Claw? Is that something we can get?
Well, they still have aspect of the beast as a talent, but that only applies to passive abilities.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty big change. I mean it's kind of definitely reduction quality of life that we're used to, right? Where you can just take whatever pet you want and tell it to be ferocity, cunning, and or tenacity.
Yeah,
You
I
have
think they're gonna have
that
to change
luxury.
this. Like they're gonna have to change it, because if they want battle res to be a part of the toolkit of beast mastery and survival, they have to make it so that you can use it without taking a damage loss or having to dismiss and summon pets twice, which takes like 6 seconds, which is not acceptable.
Yeah, as I say, it's slow anyway, right? It's not very effective, and it's not even a great battle res as it is now. Something you have to make sure. I guess they've improved the range over time, but I mean, and remember initially when we got the battle res, you had to practically be standing on top of the corpse in order to res the person. So it's just not efficient compared to what the classes that have that ability can do.
Yeah,
Well,
the main problem is that the ferocity pets have spiked color, which increases haste crit by 10% and 10% basic attack damage. If they gave that to all the families, or they just removed it from ferocity, then it would be better. It wouldn't be such a big deal to switch specs.
Yeah, I would hope that they would give us some sort of cooldown where we could actually, yeah. So what's the do we know anything about having a second pet out by chance? Because I could see it resolved if you could call out a second pet temporarily for 30 seconds or something like that on an instant cooldown, or sorry, on an instant ability.
No, there's nothing for like a Haiti replacement yet.
Mhm.
So I don't know, but like I don't think Beastmaster's seen much work on it done on it yet.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope that's the case, because it looks pretty similar to what was at BlizzCon.
Yeah, and losing the second pet. I mean, that was sort of a neat feature with Legion. I mean, it's possible. I guess you could see it come back, maybe in the form of a talent you could pick up. Although I don't know what else it would compete with. It just seems like why wouldn't you want to have a talent that gives you have a second pet out?
Uh, I mean, I would question. I mean, I would actually give it some consideration only because the pet AI for Hadi or Haiti was just a little, just that much less smart than our normal pet AI, and there were some instances where, especially if you're target switching a lot, Hadi tended to come back after your target died, and you'd be there, AOEing, and and Hadi's next to you, beast cleaving. So I could see some instances where you'd not want a second pet with the Guardian AI, but
I don't know, just macro / pet attack to everything, and it fixes a lot of the hottie stuff.
yeah, but it should work out of the box though. Let's.
Oh, it definitely should, but
Yeah.
you kind of have to do that, or else,
Yeah.
like you said, he'll just walk up beside you and start beast cleaving.
Might as well go survival at that point. Wait, no, never mind.
well, I mean,
Yeah, you should.
the changes that you guys have data mined for survival, it piques my interest a little. As the resident anti-survivalist,
Ha!
so so I'm really interested to see how they change this spec yet again. So
Yeah, people have been talking about a lot of changes. I haven't seen anything that really like definitively says they're going to make it a hybrid, but a lot of people are saying it looks like they're going to make it a hybrid ranged melee um, kind of class. I don't know
Looks like
how
it's
they'll
gonna
pull
be
that
a
off.
warlock hunter or something. All the dots that you're gonna have to use. I think it's interesting to say the least. So
Well, I mean, look at this. Like, so they're getting kill. Survive's getting kill command.
Well,
Like
but
BMs,
it
right?
says that's
So
true of marksmanship also. I mean, I think that's just a data mining problem.
no, it's changed to kill command. Flanking strike is a talent now.
Right, I saw that was removed.
But no, flanking strike is a level 15 talent. It augments.
Right, but
It
removed from
augments
the
kill
baseline.
command. What?
no, he said he meant it's removed from the baseline and not just for one spec. It's actually a level 15 talent you can choose.
And it looks like they went through a lot of work to change. So one of the I don't know if it was just overlooked in Legion, but SV's been able to use pretty much any ranged trinket or anything that procs from range because they aren't really set up like a melee. They just set up like a range class with only a 5-yard range on most of their abilities. But so it procs any of the anything that's supposed to only proc from ranged. You can also proc from most SV abilities. But it looks like they are changing all of those to actually be melee now. So that might be a sign that they're, I don't know, moving some of these things toward being able to switch between melee and ranged.
Yeah, well, sorry, this is the kill command thing again. No, survival is going to get kill command. Like, their kill command is actually slightly different than BM's. It's an entire new spell. Because survival's kill command has a 30% chance to reset its cooldown is when you use it.
Oh.
Oh yeah, I didn't see that second tooltip there. Huh.
So you can use that at 40 yards. You can use Serpent Sting at 40 yards. Your traps at 40 yards. The wildfire at 40 yards. In single target, the only thing you have to be in melee range for is Raptor Strike. And you can use that at 40 yards when you're using Aspect of the Eagle. So it's, I don't know, like look at the talents too. They get Glaive Toss back and some other
Yeah, I'm so
talents.
excited about Glaive Toss. I can't believe they gave that to stupid demon hunters.
Yeah.
I want my ability back.
They need to call theirs chakrams instead and give us our name back.
Anyway, yeah, there's a lot to go through and a lot of like slight changes and a lot of huge changes. So it's going to be an
A lot of
exciting
this is
few
very
months.
early. You think that it's gonna change even more, or are you thinking that this is gonna be the start of the framework that they're definitely gonna use?
Yeah, no idea.
I don't know. It just seems kind of weird to me, like that you can use almost all of your single target stuff from range except for one ability that's keeping you in melee. It's just like, I guess they really want to make it seem like a unique spec that's like a real hybrid, I guess. I don't know. I guess you still have to go in ranged for AoE like butchery and stuff.
I haven't seen if there's a replacement. This might be in there, and I just haven't read it closely enough. But for any of the harpoon resetting mechanics.
Oh, that's an artifact thing now, right?
Yeah, it's an artifact thing, and it's just something that makes. I mean, I I always told people to, even though it's not really DPS gain. So when we were early trying to get our get ready for raids, it was listed by most guys as one of the last things you want to get. But I feel like there's no point in trying to level until you have that. Like it's just so great to have for leveling, and it's the only way to get up to anybody. So I don't know how they'll fix some of those quality of life problems.
Well, keep in mind that the Heart of Azeroth is going to be adding a lot of the abilities that were previously on your artifact weapon. The stuff with the, what was it, the head, chest, and back? Were those the three items that are going to get the new abilities unlocked by your Heart of Azeroth? Or was it like chest, shoulders, and head? Anyway, point is, those are going to be hard to data mine because every single item has its own set of utility, or like not utility, but unlockables.
Huh.
So it's gonna they took out reforging, but they're gonna bring in some serious simming issues going forward here. It sounds like.
Good times.
So
Well, at least those pieces can't Titan Forge.
Yeah, that'll fix everything.
At least it's something, right? It's at least because they're gonna have a set abilities on them. So at least once you get the one you want, you have it. You don't have to worry about Titan Forging and all that.
yeah, you just need to get a higher level version from a mythic, or if you got it from heroic or something like that. They said,
and that's good because it's like you're going to get an upgrade. It's not like, well, I guess I should run heroic too because of my Titan Forge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's already going to be bad enough, trying to figure out which optimal line of item or abilities you're picking out of these. So, yeah, adding more RNG into that does not make sense. So, yeah, I definitely appreciate that they took the RNG out of that. So, but yeah, keep in mind that there's going to be a lot of these abilities, quality of life abilities that you might have seen in your artifact weapon, get moved over to the Heart of Azeroth stuff, which likely is not going to be data mined for a while.
Right, and they won't be necessarily the same abilities or traits that we see in our artifacts. They'll probably come up with some new things. So it'll be different, but it'll sort of play that role that I think the artifact weapon is playing right now.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I would expect to see all sorts of changes. But back to what you were saying, Foxy, are we seeing a frame? I would imagine that the basic framework of what they would like to do is probably getting put in place, and then I don't want to say they'll just tweak it or there'll be minor changes, but there could be some major changes, abilities coming and going, but eventually. But I think overall it sort of represents their mindset and the philosophy of where they want to go with these specializations in Battle for Azeroth.
Yeah, that's usually how it works. So we always have the connotation that something that we see that's awkward is probably going to change because they didn't mean that and it actually became a baseline. So maybe we could be hopeful, but again, until the next expansion comes out, I'm pretty sure I won't play Survival.
Same here. I haven't even touched it. I've probably done less survivaling than you have.
Y'all are missing out.
Maybe before the end, I'll jump in and get the artifact weapon and do all that stuff. That's how little survival I've done. I don't even have the artifact weapon.
I did that. I went ahead and got the 3 because I wanted the achievement points, and that's purely the only reason why. But it has 0 artifact power in it whatsoever.
I mean, the hybrid idea of range / melee could be fun, although I always feel like you end up spending more time in melee anyway. But if you're required to be in range to do certain abilities, I don't know. It sounds like a lot of moving in and out, right?
I expect that it's going to be a melee class that has more than average ranged abilities.
Yeah, much
because
more
if
than
there's even like one rotation, either the ranged or melee is even slightly better, then you're gonna have to do that all the time.
I guess it'll be nice for all those mechanics for melee classes have to move out. The survival can still do a lot of their DPS.
Or even potentially stay moved out then. But if it's a lot of moving back and forth.
Yeah, because the survival, I mean, like honestly, like a lot of it looks the basics of it are really similar to BM. Like you have kill command and you have Raptor Strike, and Raptor Strike is basically like Cobra Shot, same sort of thing. And then you have Serpent Sting Dot, and then Wildfire Bomb. I think those are the main baseline things. So it looks like the Explosive Trap and Blast Rate are still there in the data mining, but I think since their talents that affect them are gone, I think they might be gone. They just didn't delete the spell. So they've definitely pruned down the amount of abilities and maintenance, which is good, if that's the case anyway.
Yeah, and the only question is, are they going to keep them that way? Do they prune them, or are they going to be replaced with other things that we just haven't seen yet, and they're just making room for those things?
I think Last Rate and Explosive Trap must be gone, because if they're not, then Survival would have 4 baseline dots, which seems ridiculous, especially since they're all under 30-second cooldowns.
I don't know, it fits with this pattern we've had recently of an incredibly complicated rotation that doesn't really reward you for doing it correctly.
I just think they should give chakrams to Beast Mastery. Come on, it's a ranged ability.
What is a chakram, by the way?
It's a fancy name for a glaive. That's it, dude.
It's just a glaive?
Don't read into it too much.
Yeah, they can't call it Glaive Toss because there's Demon Hunters.
Well, I mean, they stole it, to be fair, but just saying. I might be a little bitter, but that's okay.
Yeah, chakram's just like a throwing weapon, I guess, circular in shape, according to Wikipedia here. It looks like a glaive.
That talent for Survival, Primal Instincts. When you harpoon, you get 15% crit chance, and when you disengage, you get 15% haste. That's a level 100 talent. Oh, and disengage is baseline for Survival now.
Yay. I mean, I shouldn't even be cheering that. It's ridiculous that it wasn't all expansion. For anyone who doesn't follow Muffinus on Twitter, I can't imagine anybody doesn't, but just in case, he's put another call out. I think everybody's favorite, the real, all how the specs are going to work is really secondary to what new pets we're going to get. So he's been asking on Twitter again what we're interested in and what of the new creatures people want to be able to tame. So it's worth going and connecting with him. I don't even know what his Twitter handle is. @Muffinus?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I didn't include it here. I should have included that here. But yeah, he said you've seen a lot of new creatures. So I'm curious, hunters, what tameable beast do you want to see in BFA? New and old? And the answer is always like all of them, right? I mean, I don't know. Whatever. If it's a beast, just make it tameable.
Komodo dragon.
Yeah.
Definitely those fox
Komodo
people.
dragon.
The fox people? Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
Oh my god.
Well, I mean, look at all those new dinosaurs they got. They have to let us tame a Brontosaurus. I don't care if it'd be ridiculously big. We have to tame that.
We should be able to tame anything that could be a companion pet that can do damage. I mean, I don't think there should be any limitations other than it not being a beast.
Yeah, I would like more challenges like we had in Miss of Pandaria on the Isle of Dinosaurs. What was it? Isle of Giants? Something like that.
Yeah.
To get the dire horn. I think
Yeah,
you
the
had to get
dire
a
horn,
special thing up there, which was at least moderately difficult when it first happened.
Yeah, and the
that's what makes it fun.
Yeah, I think I would love more challenges like that. I make it as hard as they can imagine for us to tame brontosauruses. It'll be okay. I mean, we'll still do it, and it'll be great, and we'll love our dinosaurs. Please.
Komodo dragons.
Yeah, those look pretty nice. Kind of like souped up warp stalkers.
Yeah, those look really cool.
I mean, and do you think it's safe to assume at this point they're going to redo the stable and give us? I mean, more stable slots obviously is what we want, but I And hopefully they just redo the whole thing at this
They
point.
should make it like transmogging. Like
Yes.
we are able to store um, the designs of gear. It should be a similar fashion for the pets, so that I mean, if it's data space that they're worrying about wasting, make it just like it's really simple to do it, just like transmogging.
You
Well,
say
engineers get the engineers get the interdimensional companion repository, which is a mobile stable master.
Yeah, that's what I was excited about because I'm an engineer. So I'm thinking maybe it will be something like that. I can't wait to see what that turns out to be.
I still want a zoo.
Yes, can just for aesthetic purposes, like sitting in Dalaran and you want the whole city to see your amazing stable, you just summon the zoo. That would be so great.
Yeah, or just like just open up a part of the city that hunters can go into and they can see their phased version of their zoo with all their pets. Get right
Yeah,
on there,
something.
please,
Make
Blizzard.
it really part of like I mean, we've already made it a part of ourselves, but I mean that could be I don't know, it's kind of over the top, but it's still a wish.
Yeah.
Well, I realize I'm probably the only hunter in the entire world who thinks this, but I kind of like the RP element of it being limited. I can't imagine that people have like a real like are thinking their hunter has a relationship with 50 different pets. I think that's
Hey,
funny.
Hey.
I don't want it to be like gear. Like gear doesn't matter to me at all. I just want the best. Maybe
Well,
if it looks cool, that's something. But I think pets should mean something.
well, yeah, that's why you get a zoo, and you get a title called zookeeper, and
and you can love all of them equally.
All right, as long as you actually do. I want to see a name on every single pet, and it has to be unique, and it can't just be whatever utility it brings.
My
These are
thing
my
is
stipulations.
oh, of course, all of my I have Ghost Crawler, the Ghost Crab. I have I have all of the sexually transmitted diseases, the spirit beasts. Uh,
oh my god.
yeah.
Wait, what?
I used to name all of my pets after the main tanks in whatever guild I'm in,
Oh,
or
nice.
if somebody had me, or if I had somebody help me tame something, I would usually name it after them. That kept me from having to try to figure out what am I going to name this pet. But that's why they all mean something to me because they remind me of an actual person
Oh, your
or an
story's
actual
much
other
nicer than
player.
mine. I just started coming up with sexually transmitted diseases for my spirit beasts.
Oh my god. Well,
Yeah.
in that case, name them after people that you hate.
Well, no, but I like gonorrhea, the spectral
Oh
bear.
my god.
Oh, sorry. I'm done. All right.
Okay, we digress. We digress. Sorry, guys.
Oh my.
It's so awesome, though.
But yeah, the creature models that we've seen so far look good. Hopefully they'll make the majority of those tameable.
Yeah, I'm kind of worried about it. I'm gonna need to buy a new graphics card for this. Not just for the game, but in order to run videos in the other monitor or Netflix in the other monitor while I'm playing. I think it's going to be too much for my little 960 to handle.
I just completed my super build a couple weeks ago. I'm really happy with it. I probably won't have to add anything for a very, very long time.
Well, good luck with yours finding a video card. They're pretty hard to find right now because of all the crypto mining stuff.
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing.
I think that's about all we've got, unless we want to go into more specifics of any of the data mining. But
Well, we technically talked an hour. We started a little late, so it's 15 after, so it's up to you guys.
started a couple times.
Yeah.
No, I
there's
mean,
a lot of stuff. We can go into more detail about individual specs in the future.
yeah, I think this is good for today. It was good to get back and see everybody here. And like I said, we'll try and get Robro on here, talk about their run with. Well, I guess it would not just Antorus, but we probably maybe hit him up about the previous raid too, because we didn't get a chance to talk to him. It's been a while since we've actually spoken to him, so it'd be good to just get his overall rating perspective, and what he expects it to be like in Battle for Azeroth. And now that we've got sort of the data mining changes, that's only going to continue. So we should start to get lots more information about Battle for Azeroth, and then actually start seeing people get invited into that initially and have that ramp up over the next few months as well. So it's good.
I was thinking it's going to be pretty funny if we've been struggling to even make our every other week schedule while the raids and stuff were actually going on and while the content was new. But now during the year lull we have between content, we'll have so much to talk about, we need to go to every week.
Yeah, I mean, I think it looks like initially maybe they're set to do a better job and have less of a gap between Battle for Azeroth and Legion, right? I mean, I think we're definitely getting into, like you say, content lull. It's going to be a little bit of drought here coming up, but they've certainly mitigated it from what it was the last two expansions.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see how long this raid lasts.
Yeah, well, it sounds like it's with the LFR just finally fully opened up. I think you mentioned earlier. But for the most part, I've got a feeling it's probably starting to wind down a little bit. Well, how long is it? It was end of November, so basically December? Well, it's only been a couple months, right? So it hasn't been out that long. But it probably feels like it has. All right. Well, so on that note, guys, you have been listening to episode 266 of the Hunting Party Podcast. I'm Darkbrew from thebrewhall.com and the Brew Hall on Twitter.
I'm Delirium from thrillofthewild.com and at Delirium Hunts on Twitter.
I'm Bendak from Eyes of the Beast and Bendak Wow on Twitter.
And I'm Foxy from the BHU Discord and Facebook group, and at Miss Mo Logan on Twitter.
All right, well, check us out on iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, or add our RSS feed to your reader. Of course, we have all these links available in our show notes.
If you have a question or a topic you would like us to discuss on the show, email us at huntingpartypodcast@gmail.com or send us a tweet at huntingpartypod.
All right, stay thirsty, my friends, and remember to drink your Darkbrew lager.
Siempre presta la emoción que lo traje.
Keep your eyes on the beast.
More pets.
I was wondering what you
Slots.
Komodo dragons.
For Azeroth.
Life stealer, that's just the cost of being awesome sauce. I'm a dues payer, a boss slayer. I rock out with my lockout I can jump shot, BM, MM, and SV. I can rock out any tree. Never worried about my threat, 'cause I've got FD and misdirect. Catching loose mobs in my tracks. I never miss, 'cause I am hit capped. 'Cause I'm the hunter, not the marked. I'm the fighter, not the spark. I'm the kiter, not the kite. I'll top the meters every fight. Landing in the cave, dealing death. Just me, my gun, and my trusty bed. Now let's begin with Illidan, Osirian, and Gil'jaden, Magdamar, Asgalor, Gruul, Cthulhu, and Razorgore, Onyxia to Ragnaros. Which one have we killed the most? Kel'Thuzad to Malygos. We even killed a Kama's ghost. Feels like we're getting close. All that Saphiron, Lucifer to Sulfuron, Archon, Amalon, Coromon, Algalon. The faction champions, the death toll rolling on and on. Garvale, Executus, Chromagus, Jaraxus, Bone Lure, Kael'thas. We won't stop till we kill our boss.
All my leaves skills,